this guy did it, that guy reported it. And let me tell you something, right? Do I think people reported, especially the people he pissed off, reported his videos? As we all know by now, Nick Trigili of Bodybuilding BS, his YouTube channel, was taken down yesterday.
You may have taken me down temporarily, but it's far from over. And thank you to everyone that did reach out to me to try to help. You guys know who you are. It's greatly appreciated. But yeah, I'll be back, guys. I have multiple contacts working on it. And why am I so confident? Because I know this is complete BS. I did not do anything wrong. I had 0 strikes on my channel. I never had a strike on my channel. And I never violated any policies for YouTube. So I'll be back. Don't worry. And if this channel is not back, I'll be back on another channel. Because this is far from over. It's never over. So people out there, you think you're going to be able to cancel me? Sorry, not this time.
And ever since then, there's been a lot of speculation on why it went down. Did people report it? And we all know, all right? Nick pisses a lot of people off, especially recently. He pissed off a lot of people. Bob Shicarello, this is from the top of my head. Bob Shicarello, Sonny Andrews, Derek, More Plates, More Dates, Jeremy Buendia, Blessing, he got in a thing with him. There's other people. I can't even remember all the people that he's been messing with, right? So in the comments section, everyone's like, this guy did it, that guy reported it. And let me tell you something, right? Do I think people reported, especially the people he pissed off, reported his videos? Yeah, all of them reported it. They probably wrote 2-page essays on Nick Trigili to get their videos that he's messing with them down or his channel down. So sure, I believe that. But do I think that's what got his channel taken down? I'm going to give you guys some information that I think some of us overlooked. And I overlooked kind of in my first video. I hinted at it. But I'm going to show you something that a lot of us have been missing as to the reason why his channel got taken down. And if those reports that everybody in the world probably reported had anything to do with it. So now I want to read over the policy with you guys. And then I'm going to explain something here on what we all overlooked. Hi, Bodybuilding BS. We have reviewed your content and found severe or repeated violations of our community guidelines. Because of this, we have removed your channel from YouTube. We know this is probably very upsetting news. Yeah, he's probably really pissed off. But it's our job to make sure that YouTube is a safe place for all. If we think a channel severely violates our policies, we take it down to protect other users on the platform. But if you believe we made it a wrong call, you can appeal this decision. You'll find out more information about the policy in question and how to submit an appeal below. Now, on top over here, they have a community guidelines. You could click that link and see the whole thing, right? But in the bottom, they put the certain part of the policy that pertains to the offense that Nick did. Now, I'm going to read this slowly and I'm going to explain something to you. What our policy says, content that violates YouTube's terms of service or that encourages others to do so is not allowed on YouTube. This includes posting content previously removed for violating our terms of service or posting content from creators who are currently restricted or have been terminated under our terms. Now, that last line, like I said in my last video, Nick has a channel before that he got banned from YouTube. Now, YouTube has a policy. If you're banned from the platform, you can never go and create another channel. Doesn't matter whose name it's under. If they catch that you've been doing it, they can take you down. Sometimes they're more lenient, but a lot of times if it's brought to their attention, they will take your channel down, like in the case of Nick and I think Tony Huge, like I was saying in my last video. So for example, if Nick goes and creates a channel in his mom's name, right, or his father's name or his dog's name, doesn't matter, and they see content from that person on that channel, they have a right to take it down. And it's a scary thought. I'm going to tell you why. You remember when Andrew Tate got banned, he went on all the podcasts, right? People were afraid to put him on because they didn't want to get strikes on their channel. In fact, Nelk couldn't put up the podcast with Andrew Tate on their channel because they had gotten a strike and they were scared to lose their channel. And this is a scary thing if you think about it, because if a person who's been banned from YouTube off their platform goes on other people's channels, technically you're at risk of losing or getting a strike on your own channel, which is something scary to think about. Because sometimes, you want to interview these people. I was thinking about interviewing Nick, but I was like, what, if I interview him, are they going to come down and take out my channel? So it's definitely something to think about, and it's a scary thing. So now this is something else I wanted to discuss with you guys, because I see in the comments people talking about free speech. And I think they're confused on what free speech really is. Okay, this country was built on free speech. But when they say free speech, okay, it doesn't include a private company like YouTube and others. In a private company, you can't just do what you want, say what you want. It's not free speech on those platforms because they're private, okay? Free speech, for example, when they said free speech, right, back in the day when they wrote the amendments, you can go to a building in front of New York City, stand on the street, and say whatever you want, right? If Greg Doucette lived in the United States, you could technically go to his house, bring a bunch of people, and scream that he's a munchkin midget all day and night, and he's an asshole, and they can't do nothing about it. But this is a private company. You can't always do what you want. We don't like it because we feel like we're entitled to say what we want, but that's just the way the rules are. And it reminds me, and I think people have forgotten these days, because mainstream TV, regular network channels, cable TV, this stuff has not been mainstream for a long time. And I think people forget how things were when this all started.
It's go time. It's time to take it off. It's go time. I got to jump off. Baby, it's go time. When it's y'all bedtime, I'm ready for showtime. Bring it back. Bring it back. Yeah, it's go time. It's time to take it off. It's go time.
When this all started, okay, the FCC, who controls the radio and the TV networks, right? There were rules that people who broadcasted had to follow. There was things you could say, things you could show, things you can and can't do. That's the way things worked. And if people wanted to put more content that did more risky stuff, they would go to cable TV, right? But on cable TV, you were limited because you couldn't do everything. If you wanted to curse, you wanted to show nudity, for example, then they had to go to networks like paid channels like pay-per-view, Showtime, HBO, all those different networks that are paid channels can show nudity and show cursing. So this stuff, and the same thing goes on the radio. You can't curse. You'll get your whole show taken down. So this stuff has existed since the beginning of time of media. But I think people have forgotten it because these networks, started in a different way. They weren't the biggest networks, but now they are. YouTube is the #1 network in the world. So this is something that people need to start thinking about and realizing that, yeah, we have free speech in the country, but free speech doesn't count on platforms that are private. So this reminds me, I'm going to tell you guys, some of you may know Andrew Dice Clay. I know in the comments, some of you guys say, I remind you guys of him. And I got a funny story for that after I tell you this, but he was the first person that was banned, canceled off of network TV. And it was because of something he did on MTV, and this was at the height of his career. So he lost a lot by being banned, and he had to end up going on pay-per-view events in order to make the content that he wanted. And it kind of reminds me of now, because look, if you want to really make what you want to make, Rumble's an option, Patreon or Locals, a lot of people go on that. So that's what they're doing now. So it's a very similar world as it used to be, but it's just in a different format. And I think people don't remember those olden days. Now, speaking about Andrew Dice Clay, when I was a kid, some of you know the story. All right, I'm going to tell you it real quick. When I was a kid in high school, across the street from my parents' house, Andrew Dice Clay lived. And him and my father became close friends. And at the time when I was younger, I didn't know much about him, but they used to hang out. They used to spend time till 3 o'clock in the morning, laughing, telling jokes. Long story short, my father picked up a lot of mannerisms and sayings from him. So me, growing up around my father and around him sometimes, I picked up those same things. So I never even realized this until I actually went on YouTube and people were like, John, you remind me a little bit of Andrew Dice Clay. And I started watching myself back and I started realizing where that happened. So indirectly, I was influenced by him. So you guys are right when you write in the comments that I remind you of him? Well, it's because I have a history with him being a family friend. I spent some time with him, and obviously my father being influenced. That's how I became who I am and the reason why I talk the way I do. So to go back on Nick a little bit, reporting channels only don't work by themselves. If that was the case, Jason Blaha, who knows how many thousands of people reported him over the years, his channel is still up and he's still making videos. So that doesn't work on it alone. But Nick, in the case, had previous channel was taken down. So if people do report, okay, it can be brought to the attention of YouTube, and then they see it and they take him down easy with no strikes. So again, me knowing Nick, this ain't the end of the road for Nick. He's going to find a way to come back on this or somewhere else. I know him really well. He's not going to give up. And I wish the best for him. And if he does come back, I hope he learned from the mistakes in the past and finds a way to clean up some things so he can avoid situations like this. Because again, if he comes back, I hope he learned from his past on here and realizes that he's got to change some things. He has to clean things up. He can't do it the same way he's been doing it for years. Otherwise, you're going to lose your livelihood, which he's experiencing now. And I hope the best for him. But again, the Nick I know, he'll find a way to come back. Thanks for watching, and let's see what happens next with Nick.